So I should probably tell you that I'm not going to go over everything, because I'm not. I'd like to, but I don't remember pretty much anything about it. This happened in 2006, I believe. My grandmother used to always get me up for school. Every day she'd go over to our house in the morning, get me and my sister out of bed, kick us downstairs, throw us in the van, and get us to school. I had rebelled a lot around this time. I did not want to go to school, and it wasn't the cool kind of rebellion where I just stopped going, or I skipped class and I left school and walked home and had my key and went in and did shit on the internet. I did the kind of pussy way out where I faked sicknesses to get out of school. And there were times, I remember, when my sicknesses were legit and I was still forced to go anyway. And there were times when I didn't have sicknesses, and I was so upset with myself that I didn't act it correctly. I know how to make myself seem sick. That's a talent I've learned over like 3 years of pretending to be sick to get out of school. And when I failed, and they were like, "No, you're lying. Get the fuck to school," that kind of crushed me a little bit. I didn't actually go to class until like we had like a little breather period at the beginning where we like went to homeroom, I guess it was called, and we had like 10-15 minutes of that, and then went to our first class. Normally I just stayed outside and like I was crying half the time, like fuck, they didn't think I was sick. I had to go through this bullshit, you know. So around 2006, I had claimed for about a full week that I was sick. I was not sick for that full week. I was not at all. I was tired a lot. I claimed that. I claimed much more than that, but to this day I claim that I was really tired in that week and I did not want to go to school. No sane fucking person would. So I said, "Oh, I have a headache," or "Oh, I have a stomach ache," or "Oh, I threw up last night," or something like that, or you know, I do one of my many fake things. I won't go into them, but it didn't work, and everybody started yelling at me. My sister and my grandmother really was there, and they started yelling at me a lot. They were like, you know, "We're sick of this. You do this every goddamn week, and we know you're not sick. You're faking it. Go to school. Be a normal fucking person." And I had enough of it. I was under my blanket, and they were still yelling at me. And my sister was actually relatively violent with me back then. That was over the time we were the same height and the same weight. She lost a lot of weight since then. I've just grown really big and fat since then. But we were around the same height, weight, around there. And she was really violent with me. You know, as older sisters are, I guess. I don't know. It's my experience, I guess. But yeah, as I stated before, we hated each other for a certain amount of time. I think it was after I dropped out that she didn't speak to me at all for about 6 months. But at that point, I had a bunch of swords in my room. I like to spend my extra money, which was, I don't know why I spent my money on this. I could have saved it and bought a new fucking computer now, but I used like $100 one day and bought a sword, and it was a good sword, and I gave it to my cousin since. And I bought another sword for $80. It was like a Lord of the Rings kind of Hobbit sword. It was like a replica of that, and I kind of liked it. I had that hanging on my wall. I had the other one with a fucking plastic sheath for whatever reason on my mantle, and was on a mantle on my fucking side desk. My I don't know what the hell they're called. The thing where you put your alarm clock. It was there, and they were yelling at me and shit, and I was like, I don't know, that wasn't a dramatic pause. I was looking at my junk for some reason. I don't know why. I'm naked right now. Isn't that fantastic? I probably ruined your immersion completely. But anyways, they're yelling at me, "Get the fuck downstairs, go to work." Well, they weren't swearing, but they were just really, really mad. And I stood up. I looked my grandmother in the eyes, and she was yelling at me from outside my door frame. And I picked up the sword from my desk. I unsheathed it, I put it to my neck, and I said, I'll fucking do it. I was like, I'm gonna do it. You guys did this to me, you goddamn assholes. Or something like that. I don't know what I said. But I know I held the sword to my neck. And I was pretty content that I was just gonna do it. You know, just cause. I wasn't actually gonna do it, but I was gonna pretend to do it just to freak them out. And I kind of secretly wanted to kill myself at that point, because I was going through a bit of depression, obviously, at that point. I don't pin, you know, depression on myself that easily, though. I mean, I'm always depressed now, and I guess I'm okay now, I guess. But mostly it was just an excuse to get out of school. I'd done everything else. I had complained of every sickness. I had complained of every school altercation. I've complained of every teacher altercation. Everything like that. Everything you can think of. The only thing I hadn't done was pretend to kill myself. And that's what I resorted to. And at that point, they got kind of scared, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you would not do that. You're fucking stupid. Don't you dare do it." You know, kind of shit. And then after a while, they were like, "Okay, that's it. Calling your mother." And I still feel guilty about this to this day. I still feel guilty. My mother had to drive like an hour and a half every fucking day in heavy traffic to a city far away, to a job that she hated, every day for like 2 years. And I forced her to come home after she just arrived there. She just arrived, and my grandmother called and said, "Yeah, your son tried to kill himself." So she immediately dropped everything, came home. I locked myself in the bathroom. My sister was, you know, it was the kind of lock in the bathroom door where you could stick a coin or something on the other side of the lock, turn it, and unlock it from the outside. And she was trying to do that, and she busted the shit out of that lock. I mean, the metal there was never the same after that day. Every time I looked at it, I was reminded of that day, and then we moved, so I obviously can't see it anymore. But yeah, the metal was totally broken and stuff. And I could have stayed there all day. I really could have. I held the lock shut so she couldn't jam it open. I held the actual lock closed from the other side. It was a kind of counterclockwise turning lock. So I held it shut. I held the door shut. I could have stayed there all day. I stood there for like an hour, maybe a half hour, 45 minutes, somewhere around there. I just stood there, and I was like, okay, I think I'm done. I could have stayed there all day, but I didn't want to deal with like just fucking staying in a bathroom all day. So I went out and stormed back to my room, where they proceeded to yell at me some more. At that point, I think my sister went to school finally. She held off her routine to yell at me and get all violent and shit. And thank goodness she's completely changed, though. Like, she wouldn't get violent with anybody now, I don't think. She's really mellowed out. So have I, actually. I think my grandmother left, and I was left at home alone. I honestly don't remember if I was left at home alone or something, but that's where it gets all foggy to me. And then I had that counselor, and then I had Mrs. Dingwall who sucked dick, and I'll probably go into that at some point. But anyways, that's just my story about things.